Welcome back. Today we are doing a deep dive into something that can be, well, a little maddening for English learners. We're taking on a single, incredibly versatile phrasal verb. Just one. Get over.
And it sounds simple, but it's a real linguistic shapeshifter, isn't it? I mean, this is why phrasal verbs can be so confusing. One phrase, so many different personalities.
Exactly. So our mission today is to give you a kind of roadmap. We're going to walk through the 4 distinct lives of get over.
Right. And not just with definitions. We're really going to look at the grammar behind it, how it behaves in different tenses and different contexts. Because, understanding that structure is the key, is how you really master it.
For sure. And our analysis for this is looking at everything. Frequency, complexity. We're starting at that upper intermediate B2 level and pushing all the way to advanced C1.
So let's start with the foundation, the one you hear pretty much every day.
Okay, where do we begin?
We begin with the most common meaning. It's classified as very common, B2 level, and it's all about recovery.
Recovery. So bouncing back after something bad. An illness, a shock.
Exactly. It's that idea of I'm back on my feet. You hear it everywhere. Movies, social media, just normal conversation.
Yeah, especially for physical stuff, right? Like if you have a friend who's never sick for long, you'd say, he usually gets over a cold very quickly.
Right. And that present simple tense there, it shows it's a routine. It's just something that happens. Easy.
But what's so interesting is how that simple phrase can also talk about duration. It's not just for quick things.
No, not at all. You can really stretch it out for long, difficult recoveries. And that's where the grammar gets more powerful.
So how would that look if someone is still in the middle of that recovery process?
That's where you'd use something like the present perfect continuous. It lets you stress that the struggle is still happening. It's ongoing.
Ah, so you could say they've been getting over this shock for weeks.
Precisely. That have been getting over part really emphasizes the active unfolding effort. It's not done yet.
I like that. It gives it weight. And we can also use it to place a recovery neatly in the past, can't we? I think our analysis had a great example with the past perfect.
It did. The past perfect is perfect for sequencing,
Why?
clarifying that one thing finished before another thing happened in the past.
So you could say, what was it? By the time school started, I had already gotten over the infection.
Exactly. It just pins that moment of completion down on the timeline. The infection was done, then school started. Very precise.
And even with this first basic meaning, the subject is always the one doing the work. They're actively recovering. And we can tweak that with helper verbs, with modals.
Absolutely. You use modals to add ideas like necessity or possibility. A manager might say, she must get over this virus before returning to work.
Right. The must attaches that feeling of obligation directly to the act of getting better.
Yeah, the language itself is reinforcing that need for active effort.
Okay, so that's recovery. That's our B2 foundation. But now let's transition. Because moving from the flu to, say, dealing with a huge emotional setback, that's a big jump.
It is. We're moving up to C1 level now, into the psychological meanings. The focus shifts from recovering from an incident to accepting a reality.
This brings us to meaning number 2, acceptance. This is labeled common and C1. It's about finding emotional closure, right? Coming to terms with something you don't like.
Yeah, this is a heavy lifting usage. The thing you're getting over now isn't a virus. It's a disappointment, a failure, a loss, something you wish wasn't true.
And when someone is struggling with that, you can hear it in the language, like he still can't get over the fact that they rejected his idea. The present simple tense just locks in that painful current state.
Exactly. That still can't is so telling. And because acceptance can take a long, long time, the data shows this meaning pops up a lot in the future perfect.
The future perfect. That's an interesting one. It's kind of like you're scheduling your own emotional healing.
In a way, yes. It's about predicting resolution. You might say, I will have gotten over the loss completely by next year.
Wow. That carries a real sense of determination.
It really does. And structurally, if you want to talk about that process as a concept, you can use the gerund form. Getting over an unpleasant truth can be emotionally challenging. The whole process becomes the subject of the sentence.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, there's a third meaning that's really closely related. We're shifting from accepting a fact to overcoming an internal barrier.
Yes. This is overcoming fear or difficulty. Still C1 and quite common. This is where get over really moves into motivational language, personal development, that kind of thing.
It's less about passive acceptance and more about actively surmounting something, a phobia, a hurdle at work.
Right. And you see it a lot when people talk about their achievements, using the present perfect to highlight that finished victory. I have finally gotten over my fear of public speaking.
That sense of completion is baked right into the grammar.
It is, and this meaning works so well with conditionals because overcoming things often means thinking about what ifs or different paths you could have taken.
You mean like the third conditional, to
Mhm.
talk about a past that didn't happen.
Exactly. It sounds technical, but it's just how we talk about hypothetical pasts. For instance, if she had tried hypnotherapy earlier, she would have gotten over her fear of heights by now.
I see. So you're reflecting on missed opportunities or what steps were needed. But even then, the focus is on the effort or the lack of it.
Always.
So, okay, we've gone from recovering from an infection to accepting a rejection to conquering stage fright, but there's one more. And this one is a bit of an outlier. It brings us back to the physical world.
It does. This is our fourth and final meaning. Literal movement, simply moving or traveling across a physical barrier.
Okay, so this is B2, but the analysis says it's rare. If it's the most concrete meaning, why don't people use it that much?
It's a great question. It's mostly because we just have better, more specific words. We'd usually just say cross or climb over or go over.
So when would you actually use it?
When you do hear it, it often carries that core idea of surmounting something, maybe with ease or quickly. A simple blunt example would be, he gets over the fence easily.
And in a story, maybe, describing something that just happened.
For sure. You might see it in the present perfect in, say, a police report. They have gotten over the garden wall during the robbery of the villa. Adds a bit of urgency.
Right. It implies they did it successfully. And you can use it in a conditional to, what? To give a warning.
Precisely. A simple first conditional. If you don't approach a low barrier carefully, you get over it clumsily. Just a clear cause and effect.
Okay, let's pull all this together. The range here is just. It's incredible. From a common cold to predicting your emotional state a year from now to jumping a wall. Is there one single thing that unites all four of these meanings?
There is, and this is the critical piece of insight for any learner. It's structural across all four meanings: recovery, acceptance, overcoming, and literal movement. The source material is very clear on one thing: the passive construction for get over. It's basically non-existent. It sounds incredibly unnatural.
Wait, really? So you would never ever say the breakup was gotten over by her?
Never, or, almost never. It would sound so strange.
Or the fence was gotten over?
No, it's an active verb through and through. The phrase demands that the subject is the agent of change. You are the one doing the work. The language itself just resists putting the obstacle first.
That's a huge insight. And that explains why it feels so personal, especially for those psychological C1 meanings. The effort belongs entirely to the person who is getting over it.
Exactly. And that also explains why questions and negatives are so common with this phrase. They're all about measuring the progress of that active agent.
So a question like, how long did it take you to get over the disappointing news? The focus is on the time that person needed to do the work.
In a negative sentence like, he hasn't gotten over the infection yet, it tells us the subject is still in the process, still actively struggling. It's not complete.
So mastering this isn't just about knowing the definitions. It's about using the right tense, continuous, perfect, conditional to show the timing and the effort involved.
That's it. That's the whole ball game.
It's amazing. Okay, a very quick recap. The four functions of get over. 1, recovery, B2, for illnesses and bad experiences. 2, acceptance, C1, for coming to terms with an unpleasant reality. 3, overcoming fear or difficulty, also C1, for conquering a barrier. And 4, literal crossing, the rare B2 meaning, for moving over an obstacle.
And the one rule to rule them all, get over, is almost always active. The subject is the hero of the sentence. Which leaves us with a final thought for you to take away. If this phrase is so locked into an active structure and all its meanings are about conquering something, what does that structural rule tell us about how language itself expresses individual effort?
That is a deep thought to mull over. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to start listening for this. Notice who the active subject is every time you hear get over. Listen for those specific tenses we talked about today and try to use them yourself. Thanks for diving deep with us.